To begin with, how do we adapt application lifecycle management to meet the needs of digital business?
Remember when synergy was the big buzzword? The interaction of things, when combined, produce a total effect that's greater than that of the sum of the individual elements? Well, digital business requires us to unite in ways that allow for real synergies. While recognizing that we may each have a professional discipline in which we have great depth of knowledge and understanding, we're also adopting the philosophy that we're better together. So it's more than overlapping our silos. It requires the intermingling of them, with product owners needing to understand more of the application development perspective and development and operations people needing to better understand business objectives. So one of our clients aptly said, we are needing to think more like architects. Well, we really are redefining our roles and the needed qualifications for those roles. And so consequently, although the concepts have been around for some time, recently we see more emphasis on agile and DevOps practices, which encourage close collaboration and integration of business, IT, and operations. But our bottom line hasn't changed. Our goal is still to produce better applications, deliver them to our internal and external users, and increase our speed to market while we manage total cost of ownership.
But it seems that for decades we've been working for better, faster, and cheaper applications. So what's different now?
Well, today we have a multiplicity of platforms. We have our legacy and traditional applications that are still on mainframes and AS400s and client server. And then we have the newer platforms like web and mobile and cloud. In addition to that, we've got the Internet of Things and the interconnectedness of everything we do. We've got shared data, which is both structured and unstructured data. We have shared services, which are within our enterprises as well as from outside sources. And we've got shared feedback from social media, blogs, and wikis. In their Gartner Predicts 2015 special report that's titled Digital Business is Driving Big Change, Gartner says the following. They say that today's digital business must act rapidly to respond to fundamental changes in competitive challenges, customer demands, and technology use models, all of them happening simultaneously.
But how, Rachelle, specifically, do we react rapidly?
Well, again, it's about collaboration. It's no longer a relay race where I'm going to run my lap and then hand my baton to the next runner. It's more of a game of Red Rover where we link arms. So there's still strategy to success, right? We have to decide who's on the end, who's in the middle, and how we're going to play. But this approach allows us to huddle in when we see an area of potential weakness and shore it up before the line breaks. So to achieve this kind of integrated team and the desired collaboration that we have, we need to consider two things. First, and most importantly, in my opinion, is the organization's maturity and readiness for change. What really needs to change and why? Transitioning to agile approaches requires collaboration across the enterprise, and the whole organization must be ready. The second thing we need to take a look at is the recognition of different types of applications within an enterprise. We've got operational or utility kinds of applications, and we also have strategic kinds of applications, those that differentiate the organization, as well as those that are innovative or are research and development kinds of things. So this categorization strongly influences the software development lifecycle approach, with the strategic applications generally leaning more to Agile and Scrum, and utility typically more suited to waterfall or iterative.
So if we do commit to different approaches for utility and strategic initiatives, then how do we keep them from diverging too far?
Well, when we're looking to align our utility and strategic projects, we need to first establish a set of common processes and metrics that apply to all of our projects so that we have a consistent measure of success regardless of the way in which we approach an effort. So for utility projects specifically, we can adopt a shift-left approach to our project organization and thinking while still maintaining the strictly defined phases and quality gates. And now as part of this shift-left approach, we want to start with our people, our organization, and we want to look to collaboration and shared accountability. And some of the ways that we can do that is look to team people on our teams that don't normally exchange ideas and concepts with each other, and have them overlap and have some shared accountability for some of the deliverables or some of the processes on the team. The other thing that we need to do is define what we mean by normal as part of this project. And we need to recognize that there's going to be some bumps along the way with any project that we're working on, but as long as we anticipate that we will have those bumps and we have a plan of action of how we're going to address them when they occur, then they're not going to be as scary, and they're not going to be as debilitating to the project team as a whole when they do happen. Other things that we need to do is look at the process itself. So when we're dealing with waterfall and iterative kinds of approaches, we can certainly introduce agile concepts to the conversation. So things like having a daily stand-up meeting, or having an end of iteration or end of project retrospective meeting is going to help us to unite our strategic project teams and our utility project teams, at least at a semantic or communication language level. We can also introduce some test-driven requirements into our waterfall and iterative kinds of processes. That's going to help us shift left. It's going to help us close the gap on our development life cycle by introducing risk-based testing and really looking at our requirements from a how will I know that I've met it kind of approach. And then finally, we want to look at the tools. We can certainly look at what we can do as it relates to automation. And I'm not talking just about regression testing and the tools that go along with that, but I'm also talking about automated code generation or other automation kinds of tools that we can introduce to our projects to shorten the life cycle and get us thinking a little bit more about agility. And certainly we need to look at how we're going to provide traceability from the beginning of our life cycle through to the end. Now, for strategic projects, we need to reinforce the value of good requirements. So in keeping with our shift left discussion, it's good to remember that the later a missed or ambiguous requirement or defect is discovered in the development life cycle, the more costly it is. So even with strategic projects, we want to have checkpoints in place to validate that we are still in lockstep, or to make sure, if you will, that our arms are sufficiently linked in our game of Red Rover. So mature requirements definition and analysis, along with strong quality practices, will allow us to achieve an optimized balance between effort expended and business benefit achieved. That's a simple kind of maturity model, if you will, as it relates with quality and requirements. So regardless of the approach, waterfall, iterative, agile, or scrum, we still need to develop quality requirements that fulfill the business objectives.
What are the benefits, Rachelle, of having two approaches that are closely aligned?
Well, I think there's 4 benefits. The first one is predictability. It allows us to set and manage expectations regardless of the approach, and I think that's a key pillar of success. The second one is going to be flexibility. When we're looking at utility versus strategic categorization of our initiatives, this allows us to better address the business needs, whether they be innovative or operational, in a consistent way while recognizing that not one approach fits all. So thirdly, innovation, even with utility projects. So due to a more collaborative process that encourages frequent checkpoints along the way, we can have innovation that goes with that first one of predictability. And then finally, fourth, is agility. We can meet the user needs more quickly because we're moving changes in production with more frequency, thereby meeting the need to react rapidly.